I loved being introduced and being welcomed as part of these hellraisers working to preserve their community. I think they did an excellent job at introducing us to not only the area and the nature in the area, but also the people who live there who are so integral to the fight to preserving the land. And they felt very intertwined. And I got deeply connected to them, and I felt like I wanted to join in their fight against fracking injection wells. Getting to understand a little bit more about what these mining and fracking processes are helped me, I don't know, connect deeper to their fight and become more aware of potential nature and land violations in my area. So I think this is a really important piece, and I loved their passion and their fire. It was infectious.
The cinematography was immaculate. I think they did so well. It was so clear. The landscape and just sort of the imagery of nature, I think, was just so well done. I did enjoy the music as well. Again, it tied in with the sort of theme and the area and sort of locale of where everything was being filmed. I think that was very well done. I really enjoyed the verite scenes that they had, as well as the sort of portrait scenes that they had with two of the main characters. I think that was a very powerful tool that they used, and I think it definitely kind of added to, again, the stakes. Depending on whatever was happening, the sort of portrait spoke to how they felt at the moment. And then I like the connection of the people and then obviously the Hellbenders. So the title, the Hellbenders, and then the people. So I think those sort of three tied in so well together, especially metaphorically, and I think that did so well to portray in this documentary. Yeah, and I like how they sort of took on that identity for themselves, which is really well done. And I loved the closing scene, the verite scene of all the subjects together, because you don't see them together in the beginning and throughout, and then at the end they sort of come together, and they have this moment, which I think was perfectly done by the director.
It just has so much personality from, the people in the small town and just how emphatic they are about, this issue and about, the hellbender salamander itself, from, the name to the way it moves to what it does. It was just such an interesting creature to learn about. And just, you could just feel how passionate and how connected the people who lived in this town were to the environment, and just how affected they were by this, and how much fight everybody had in them was just so great to see. Yeah, you can just feel, like I said, how important the landscape is to the people of the town, from the way they talk about it, and just from like the enthusiasm of the interviews, and the people as they were talking about everything, even having never heard of the hellbender or this town before. I was, that enthusiasm kind of transfers over to the people who are watching it, and I was immediately passionate and excited about the hellbender too, and this whole situation. And overall, I just think the way that they captured the town and all of its personality and fight was just really exciting and refreshing and great to watch.
I really loved the happy, uplifting tone of the film. This is a movie about an endangered species, yet the film is hopeful and happy throughout. As you watch these individuals fighting against the frackers and just the larger systems around them, there's a spirit of fun and adventure to it. It really is a story of hope and of progress, and it's about people that love what they do, which I really enjoyed watching. The film does get serious at times. It touches on the validity of democracy, which is a very pertinent issue right now. I also thought the film was really illuminating about the fracking industry. Yeah, overall, a really well done film.
Cinematography, great. Some of those shots of the fish in the water belong in National Geographic or something. Two interviews. The interview shots were really well composed and really well lit. But I want to shout out the story vibes of like community taking on like industries and big government and like um, um, special interests and like lobbyists, like but it's like community vibes, community organizing, rising up. Like I really like stories like that, and it was really encouraging, and it was like faith in democracy restored.
I think what was really great about this documentary is that you get to see the community and the pride that they take in being able to be a voice for the hellbenders that live in their water system and then within the ecosystem. And it's really cool how it explores the connection between the hellbenders as a species and how their health is tied to the health generally of the river system and to just generally the pollution, the trees, and everything else that's going on in that geographical area. And I think it's just a beautiful story about a community coming together to save the environment on a big scale by starting on a really small scale.
This, nature rights movement and using that as a legal maneuver, I think is so important when you're looking at small communities and when you're looking at not just small communities, but when you're looking at, just for example, these remote or more rural places that don't just want to get steamrolled into having, this fracking, whatever, and learning that they can stand up, they can speak up, they might be small, but they still do have a voice, and you still can do something if you're really passionate about it and if you're willing to work really hard at it to not get steamrolled and to not kind of get pushed aside by these giant corporations that make giant profits and think that they can do whatever they want, and to kind of base all of this around this one salamander who then this kind of like legacy of protecting their environment, and not just for them but also for this small community and their water supply and their way of life, and not wanting anything to change that.